a nemesis to our planet since 25,500 BC. It's also how they broadcast stuff. The net is linked through the Nibiruian dotted crystal grid into natural configurations called crystal temple networks. There's 24 primary crystal temple networks in the planetary grids that were always there. Way back in seeding 1, millions of years ago, when Nibiru at the time was under Emerald Covenant protection, and they were trying to work with the Anunnaki races who were trying to be supposedly nice at the time, there were something called Nibiruian crystal rods put into these 24 primary areas of crystalline caverns. They created a communication system, and it was used for interplanetary communication, and it was used to generate certain types of energy, and it made a link to Nibiru. Well, when they put the Nibiruian dotted crystal grid in the third seeding in 25,500 BC, they wired it in to this old communication network, and they got control of the 24 primary bases. They're literally crystal temples, like in the picture that's on the front of that. I don't have the other pictures of it that Leela had, but they're gorgeous. These are massive crystalline caves filled with selenite rods and some others. Once they had control of those, they had control of Earth's planetary Templar grids, which means they could control what frequency was going to run in the grids, and they would also be able to control what the stargates did once a stellar activation cycle happened. What they planned to do, that was 25,500 BC when they got all this mess set up. What they planned to do, the next stellar activation cycle from that point was supposed to be in 22,326 BC. They were going to do their final takeover then and bring the whole thing down into Phantom Matrix then. But our guys stopped it. They were able to do, I don't know what they did, but they did something with the gates, with Sirius B, Gate 6, that shut down the stellar activation cycle before it fully commenced. Because once it starts to commence and you get one of the gates fully open, you can't stop it, or it can actually rip the grids apart, not just create pole shift. There was a partial pole shift during that period of time, and because we got attacked. I mean, we were coming in to do the Christos mission to get that finalized. They were coming in to make sure we got sucked down into the Phantom Matrix, and the whole thing got put on hold. It created a stalemate. This would all be resolved during the next stellar activation cycle. The next stellar activation cycle that would come due is now. 2000 to 2017. So we've had these messes to deal with. Then, in 10,500 BC, various other ones started to put in the APIN systems, which would tap in. They made the wormholes in 10,500 BC. This is when they literally made wormholes, or let's say made doorways through that wall in time that I talked about. They ripped holes in the wall in time, wormholes,